Facing the Liang battlefield to set Ma Gong to lose wrong, Gongxiang played Lai to send out the external wolf poison sword, and shot directly through the Qin sword bow with a successful blow. On the surface, the Qin state defeated the Wei state, but in fact, the Qin sword and bow were already dead, and the anti-military tent was too helpless to see it. Only the sword can be saved by breaking the rapier shaft, and the weapon used in front of the Tianyue sword is a divine weapon. After all, it is a matter of life and death for the old man, and the son holds the sword on the battlefield to kill the enemy as steadily as an old dog. But at this moment he has no confidence in facing the broken half of the rapier shaft, because the wolf poison sword is far from an ordinary sword. As a strong country in the early warring states period, the Wei state used the best craftsmen to create its weapons with great precision. The handle of the wolfbane sword was made of fine hardwood and then repeatedly coated with copper oil to reduce air resistance during the shooting process, aiming to achieve effective penetration. And the rapier has nowhere to borrow strength. Ordinary swords are difficult to cut, a careless will harm life. Facing forward well knows the power of the wolf poison sword. Cutting the wolf poison sword is like a big girl on the sedan chair. Do not cut. The old man soon died of evil, prayed in his heart. Tianyue sword, just take a life, and then concentrate on it, only to see a cold light flashing. The blade has not yet touched the rapier shaft. The rapier has been quietly cut off by the sword chi of the Tianyue sword, and the soft is the string bow of iron sweat. The pain was so painful that he fainted after a few screams, and after a long time, he was awakened by the pain again, and out of the corner of his eye, he saw the eldest son kneeling beside the bed, looking at the sky with his eyes and pretending not to know the second son, and his head and brain were facing forward in a sword-like shape since childhood, thinking that the old man was not good and did not think about him. Hurriedly changed people to call to welcome the grain. The string bow sword suddenly relieved, and quickly pretended to call the eldest son close, and then closed his eyes and fainted again, and after a while, he rushed back to welcome the grain, and the string bow immediately opened his eyes when he heard the movement, and he saw that the second child was coming. Zhang Shi, Lulu Zhao, Hai, Xiao Liang, Kun Wei, Master Su, Chu Liang, hosting. Retreat, old guy, you are too obvious. Obviously do not treat the boss as your own person. This is also fortunate to be facing the front. Geng Zhihua has few intestines, and when Ying Liang took over the talisman, Ying Qian realized again and again that it was not good, and stared at the talisman with big eyes. Is it a temporary expedient measure or a permanent power? Ying Qian hurriedly looked back at the old man's string bow, although the string bow was dizzy in pain, but felt the blazing gaze of Ying Qian. In order to comfort the eldest son, he hurriedly spoke, bent the beam, and coped. 7, but before the words were finished, I was completely dizzy, and after reading the calf, the military power really fell into the hands of the second brother, and then shouted Dad, but I didn't see the slightest reaction from the string bow. I was so anxious that I hurriedly went to find the imperial doctor, and Liang hurriedly stepped forward to determine whether he was really dizzy, or the kind that would not wake up for a while. Give a preventive shot to the major generals in advance, welcome Liang as a general, dare to disobey the order, and immediately cut off the unforgiven. It is to welcome. Liang heard that the eldest brother got the general, and hurriedly rushed out to take advantage of the situation to issue a military order, and the generals issued a military note to let everyone withdraw overnight. The sun rises without a cloud in sight, and the 80,000 cavalry troops are well fed and prepared to charge towards the main camp of the Qin army, launching a fierce battle to seize the commanding general's mistake. According to the principles of warfare in the warring states period, the Qin army should also form their formation and wait for the arrival of the cavalry. The two sides confront each other in a battle of life and death. Then rush to the central decisive battle to determine the victory. Today the Qin army is empty on the mountain, only to see a few wisps of smoke occasionally floating from the camp. The younger brother of the boss of the country, Gongxiang, after being captured alive in the public defeat, naturally became the acting commander of the army. Thinking that the Qin Xian bow on the battlefield was overturned by his own plug-in, when he understood that the Qin army had fled the camp, he took the lead in high spirits, and the red iron cavalry rushed towards the Qin camp like a huge wave, stepping over the wall in front of the camp, and the 80,000 iron cavalry were instantly dumbfounded, and the roar and shouting of killing suddenly froze. The morale of the powerful enemy with meritorious service turned into nothing, and only the slight sound of the wind and the wheezing of the war horses remained on the entire mountain, and the Qin camp had no product, only the earthen stove and the false banner were buried, and the veteran Keel reacted, and the Qin army fled the camp. Immediately chase and kill. What to chase and kill? Can't get money. Accompany the soldiers, lead the army and don't chase. What does Gongxi mean? Gongxiang is extremely disdainful in his heart. Lao Tzu saw that the Qin army fled the camp at the foot of the mountain. If you don't dare to rush to the front to pretend to be a hero, you can only see it now. Ding Xia rejected the Keel's suggestion, and this side chase will surely cross the entire Heshi, and his hippie and tender flesh will not accompany everyone to suffer, saying that he will go back and re-ask for the battle, and the victory will be determined. After hearing this, the dragon bone galloped in his heart, and he couldn't take back the prime minister. I waited for the capital crime. Yes, you are the younger brother of the king of Great Wei, and you are the son of the prince of Qin, and you are not damaged at all. It's hard to say in your own head. Gongxiang is also righteous and angry. What is the crime of this Gongxi against you? After speaking, he waved his big hand and withdrew directly with the guards. With the divine assistance of Gongxiang, the Qin army withdrew safely to avoid the catastrophe. Over there, the most stylish person, Wen Liang, is leading 3,000 light cavalry to hold the rear. He stood on the mountaintop and blew the cold wind for a long time, but he never saw the figure of the guards. In a moment of doubt, Red Monkey reported that the guards did not chase and had returned to the east of the river. Everyone was furious when they heard this, and we finally broke off. but he ran away, which shows that Qin Xiangong was completely brainwashed, and everyone became militants, which also brought endless trouble to win the reform of the good succession. Wen Liang had to forcibly explain, when chasing or not, there must be another plan. After saying that, he ordered everyone to return to Yeyang as soon as possible, and at this time, a special envoy of Jin Lingjian who only knew how to carry out the order and had no emotion appeared. Ling Bingbing asked Wen Liang to hand over the military talisman and immediately reinstate Qin Songling, but as a result, the military uniform shook off his cloak, dropped a word of farewell, and left in a hurry, only to burst a few foul words of his popularity, and the stupid big cat on the other side won. Just sent the old man Qin Xiangong to Yeyang, and when he was resting and entering the city, he also received an edict from the envoy of Jin Lingjian. General Qin, Yeyang is right in front of us. Why are we stopping here? You ask me, I ask who? It's nonsensical. General Meng's supplies are in the wilderness. Before winning, we can only convey the order to garrison to the entire army. Qin Xiangong was well aware of the internal contradictions within the country. When he entered Yeyang city, he had a little idea. This sentence implies two meanings. First, the Qin army went on an expedition and defeated the Wei army, achieving a great victory and increasing the confidence of the Qin people. The second is to pass on the victory to the Shi clan and withdraw the army, talk in private and keep your mouth open, don't chew the root of your tongue. Why did Qin Xiangong suddenly ban his two sons from entering the city? We will talk about this in the next episode. Friends who like it are welcome to comment, like and forward.